Imagine this. You're walking your dog by a peaceful pond. Just another ordinary day. Then your dog fixates on something washed ashore. You investigate, and what you find defies belief. A headless, limbless torso wrapped in a shower curtain. This wasn't a scene from a horror film. This was Russia, 2015. And it led police to one of the most chilling discoveries of their lives, and to a woman known simply as the Granny Ripper. Her name was Tamara Samsonova. To her neighbors, she was an unassuming, soft-spoken senior, known as a polite and gentle woman. But behind that kind face lurked a horrifying truth, a truth so dark, so unimaginable, that it would eventually reveal her as a suspected serial killer with a taste for murder, dismemberment, and even dark ritual. Imagine opening an old diary, only to find pages upon pages describing brutal killings, written by the very grandmother who lived down the hall. What drove her, and how did she manage to go unnoticed for decades? We're about to find out. Tamara Samsonova was born on April 25, 1947, in Ozarsk, a small government town in central Russia. Not much is known about her childhood, but she eventually moved 14 hours across the country to Moscow for college. She enrolled at Moscow State Linguistic University, learning languages, living the city life. After graduation, she moved to Leningrad, which is now known as St. Petersburg. It was the early 1970s. St. Petersburg was a bustling city with nearly 4 million people, and amongst them, Tamara met a man named Alexei. They fell in love, married, and moved into a newly built panel house. These were low-cost buildings, cheap and easy to build, popping up to accommodate the city's growing population. Tamara then got a job as a travel agent, using her linguistics degree, and was reportedly great with people. A sweet, nice lady. She even worked at the fancy Grand Hotel Europe for 16 years before retiring. But shortly after her retirement, a dark cloud descended. Her husband, Alexei, vanished. They had been together for 30 years. Tamara reported him missing to the authorities, claiming he had run off with another woman. Police didn't see the urgency. It sounded like a marital problem, but as we will learn, this disappearance was perhaps only the beginning of a monstrous secret. Some media and investigators have speculated that Tamara herself was responsible for Alexei's disappearance. With Alexei gone, Tamara decided to rent out rooms in her apartment for extra income, but it seems she had a really hard time keeping tenants. Neighbors later recalled frequently hearing loud banging on the radiator, yelling, and all sorts of loud noises coming from her apartment. New roommates would arrive, only to quickly move out. Neighbors would watch, thinking, "This lady is crazy. I give them 5 days, they'll be out." Tamara didn't just express her feelings through noise. She kept diaries for years. She would write in Russian, English, and sometimes German, expressing her thoughts on life, detailing things like sleeping badly, drinking coffee, and taking medicine. She had many interests: writing songs, music, and an unusual collection of books about black magic and astrology. These diaries would later become a horrifying key to her crimes. A few years went by. It was 2014, and Tamara was renovating her apartment. This perfectly coincided with her meeting 79-year-old Valentina. Valentina was looking for someone to move in, someone who could help with chores around the house. Tamara, then 68, offered to move in and assist. It seemed like a great arrangement. Tamara had a place to stay during renovations, and Valentina got help. But the feeling was not mutual. Over time, their relationship soured. Valentina asked Tamara to move out. Tamara refused. "No, I'm not moving out." "That's crazy you bring that up, because that's not happening," she allegedly said. Valentina was tired of her, saying Tamara wasn't keeping up with housework, just being a squatter. Then, In July 2015, they had a terrible fight over what you ask, unwashed dishes. Neither wanted to clean them. Tamara, who was supposed to be helping with housework, was being an inconvenience. Instead of moving out, Tamara decided, I need to get rid of Valentina. She's a problem. Her solution? Poison. She later told police she panicked, fearing she wouldn't have a home, and thought killing Valentina would give her peace for another 5 months until her renovation was done. She drove to a nearby city and somehow convinced a pharmacist to sell her 50 pills of Fasum, a Russian-made benzodiazepine, used to treat anxiety and insomnia. Back at Valentina's, Tamara cooked one of Valentina's favorite meals, an Olivier salad, a traditional Russian dish with peas, potatoes, carrots, onions, pickles, eggs, meat, and mayonnaise. It was the perfect meal to hide her sinister plan. Tamara literally put all 50 pills into the salad and served it to poor Valentina, who had no clue. Tamara went to bed, waiting for the pills to kick in. Around 2 a.m., she woke up and went to the kitchen. There, she found Valentina's body lying on the floor. Some reports suggest Valentina might have still been alive, but that didn't stop Tamara from doing what she did next. Dismembering Valentina's body, she later told police she did it in the kitchen, because Valentina was too heavy to carry to the bathroom. It's unclear what Tamara did with some of the body parts and organs, but the rest of the body parts she wrapped in pieces of a shower curtain, placed them in plastic bags, and then dumped them into a pond near the neighborhood. CCTV footage actually caught Tamara dragging plastic bags to the pond 7 different times. 3 days later, on July 26, 2015, a couple walking their dog by the pond made that gruesome discovery. The dog became intensely interested in a bag washed ashore. The couple opened it, only to find a headless, limbless torso. They immediately called the police. What they didn't know was that on the night of Valentina's murder, police had already received a call from someone who saw Tamara dropping bags into the pond, and on top of that, a social worker had tried to visit Valentina, but Tamara refused her entry. The pieces were quickly coming together. Police questioned neighbors, who confirmed no one had seen Valentina in days. They collected the bags from the pond, and within a day, were able to link the body parts to Valentina. They headed to Valentina's house, knocked on the door, and who answered? Tamara. She was surprisingly welcoming, inviting the officers inside. Inside, police found traces of blood in the kitchen and bathroom. They also noticed the shower curtain had been torn off. When confronted with the blood and the missing Valentina, Tamara didn't hesitate. She calmly confessed, I murdered Valentina. Police arrested her. In custody, she recounted the fight over dishes, buying the 50 pills, and putting them in the salad. Then, during their search of Valentina's apartment, police found it, Tamara's diary. This lady had told her diary everything, even though it was written in 3 different languages: Russian, English, and German. Investigators were able to decipher it, and what they read was far more disturbing than songs and poetry. They found handwritten confessions to several other murders. Many other murders. She had been very, very busy. Remember how Tamara used to have roommates? According to her diary, she killed some of them because they were annoying her. One of her earliest tenants, Vadia, she wrote that she cut him to pieces in the bathroom and put his body parts into plastic bags, throwing them away in different districts. Another diary entry described the dismemberment of a 44-year-old man named Sergei Bavin. Tamara and Sergei had an argument, and murder, for her, was the answer. She placed his body parts in different plastic bags and dumped them around the neighborhood. In 2003, a dismembered body had been found matching this description, but it remained unsolved for years. Tamara's diary even detailed Sergei's tattoos, which helped investigators connect the dots. Sergei's business card and traces of his blood were also found in her apartment, solidifying the claims. But the diary held even more terrifying secrets. There were things written that made it sound like Tamara had, allegedly, eaten her victims. She allegedly liked cutting out their lungs and eating them. The diary even referenced cannibalism and the occult. While these claims surfaced from translations of her diary, police never officially reported evidence of cannibalism, as there was no forensic proof. Why? Because, as one theory chillingly suggested, she ate the evidence. According to Tamara herself, she would eat parts of the lungs, legs, and pieces of the head of her victims before disposing of everything else. What was she making? Some kind of soup? This was the grandmother with the black magic books. On July 29, 2015, Tamara was taken to the Frunze District Court of St. Petersburg. She was placed in a cage in the courtroom, to which she reportedly complained, "I'm being treated like an animal." Yet, she turned to journalists and told them, "I knew this day would come, and that it was a disgrace, the whole city would know what she did." But then she added a bizarre detail. She claimed she was being haunted by a maniac upstairs, who forced her to kill people. It was assumed she meant she was hearing voices in her head. Her courtroom behavior was consistently strange. Sometimes she'd hide her head in her hands, ashamed of being caught. Other times she'd cry, again, seemingly embarrassed. But then she'd sit up proudly, even flirting with the court and the media, blowing kisses and fixing her hair. At one point, she acted like she didn't even know where she was. Was it an act? In one translation, she told the judge that all of the killings were deliberate, and that for the last 10 years, she had been preparing for this day, wanting to close the chapter with the murder of Valentina. She allegedly wanted to be known as a serial killer. She told the judge she was guilty and deserved punishment, then smiled and clapped her hands when it was announced she'd be held in custody. Police struggled to piece together her story, as she gave many contradictory accounts, claiming to be an actress, a graduate of a prestigious ballet academy, and then changing it to working at a top hotel. CCTV footage did confirm her dumping bags, and even carrying a saucepan believed to contain hands and a head, though those were never found. In November 2015, Tamara underwent a psychiatric examination. The result? Not surprising. She was deemed a danger to herself and society. A month later, she was moved to a special psychiatric prison in Kazan. Investigators spoke to her family, neighbors, and friends. Many said Tamara would brag that one day she would be famous and popular, that she would cause a sensation. A neighbor who knew her for 15 years revealed Tamara was very interested in the notorious serial killer Andrei, also known as the Red Ripper, who killed and ate at least 52 women. Tamara had extensive knowledge about him. This same neighbor also mentioned that years back, Tamara had borrowed their hacksaw and never returned it. She likely put it to horrific use. It was also revealed that Tamara had been in and out of mental institutions at least 3 times over the past 15 years, with doctors suspecting schizophrenia, hallucinations, and delusions. The maniac upstairs might have been a manifestation of her illness. And then, a school friend of Tamara's came forward with a truly terrifying confession. Tamara had apparently killed her own mother. The friend kept silent for years, because Tamara had threatened her, saying, "Look, if you say anything, I'm going to cut you up into pieces and throw you out to the dogs." Eventually, Tamara was officially diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and determined unfit to stand trial. The judge ordered her to spend the rest of her life in a mental institution, where she reportedly continued to be a threat to those around her and herself, requiring special monitoring. Many investigators believe Tamara killed far more people than officially confirmed. Some reports suggest 11 murders, others up to 14, including a handful of her tenants who simply vanished. However, only one murder, Valentina's, was formally charged. Without bodies and solid evidence beyond her diary and confessions, it's hard to prove. As for Tamara Samsonova, she is still alive today, living out her days in a high-security psychiatric prison hospital. As one source close to the investigation put it, we may never know the extent of the granny's killings. A full confession is unlikely. What was her motive? She wasn't gaining anything from it. No money, no clear personal benefit. It appeared she was just killing for fun. This is incredibly rare for women murderers, who typically kill out of passion or for a specific gain. Was it simply her sickness, her diagnosed paranoid schizophrenia, or something even darker, hinted at by her obsession with black magic and the notorious Red Ripper? We are left with chilling questions. How could a woman described as polite and gentle hide such monstrous acts for decades? What truly happens inside the minds of those capable of such horrors? And what other secrets might those discarded diaries still hold? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think drove Tamara Samsonova to become the Granny Ripper?